Alrighty. Welcome. This is an honor. I'm so thrilled you decided to say yes to be on the podcast. Go ahead, Jillian, will you tell everyone who you are and what you do with beautiful wisdom every single day?
I am Jillian Paige. I'm the creator and founder. Creator and founder are literally the same word. I'm the creator and teacher of Meisner music, and I'm a classically trained vocalist and musical theater performer. And for the last 10 years, I had a day job of personal training, which was lovely. And I still online train a select few people. So fitness is a huge part of my life. But yeah, I'm a performer and teacher primarily.
Amazing. And I'm going to say right off the bat, because I want everyone to know this, if you are not following Meisner music, what are you doing with your life? Like, go follow it right now. It is so freaking inspiring. Every single post or video, like, it's so beautiful what you do. But before we dive into the Meisner music stuff, you obviously, health is a huge part of your life. How did you get into personal training and health and all your journey with that?
Yeah, I was never athletic growing up. And so when I got to college, I did, and I wouldn't say the freshman 15, but I definitely started eating more and really loving some Lucky Charms and pizza at the cafeteria. So I got into group fitness first. I think Pilates was my first in. And then I just fell in love with how weight training was really similar to practicing voice, in that you show up and do the work and then progress on to what you've already worked on. So I just love weight training. I think all women, all people, but especially women, need to not shy away from getting stronger. And it's a meditative thing for me. So I love it. And it's been like the most amazing, flexible day job. And anytime a performer is like, should I get my certification? I don't know. And I'm like, yes, like, you have to make so much an hour so that you have the freedom to audition. Like, if you can do personal training, do that.
Oh, I've never heard of actors like thinking about being, I've heard of it a few, but like not like as a primary day job. That's so interesting. You always hear about like the waitressing or waiting,
right.
Or, stuff like that. But that is a really flexible. That's such a great idea.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's similar to coaching or teaching voice or something like that. Just something that you are giving one-on-one care to, and then therefore can only work maybe like 3 hours a day and make what you need to survive.
And also, what a good thing to like learn about, because I'm assuming for training, you need to know about the human body. Like, there's no tomorrow. Like, you need to know what muscle groups work what. And like, I feel like you're like, yeah. Like, I feel like that is such a good thing to know, especially because there's a lot of performers that listen to this podcast. You're an athlete. Like, whether you're like a super highly trained dancer, or you're like a mover, like, you are still an athlete. Your body is a huge part of your career. And so, knowing what muscle groups work what, I feel like that's so important.
Yeah. I mean, unlike people who can buy a flute, our bodies are our instruments, whether it's dance, acting, or singing. And so it is when people come to me for online training and they're like, I just want to lose weight, I just want you to tell me what to do, I sort of laugh, because I'm like, it's so not that. It's not a formula. It's really a mind-body connection that is so beneficial to actors and singers and dancers, performers in general, to know what is my instrument needing from me and how can I best serve it and keep it fully functioning.
So for someone who's looking for that mind-body connection, what's the first thing you tell them, or maybe an exercise or a thing to implement in their own life? What do you have them do?
I think the biggest thing is being kind to yourself in your words. I had a student the other day in Meisner music really talking down on themselves. And I said, are we allowed to curse on here, Nicole?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I said this thing that one of my spiritual gurus says, which is watch your fucking mouth. Yeah. And obviously it's not about curse words because it's in the phrase itself, but it's about watch how you speak to yourself. So the first thing I do with personal training clients and Meisner music students is get them away from good and bad. That sucked. That was great. Because your central nervous system literally hears the messages that you send it verbally or mentally. So if we go into performing or fitness and saying, I hate what I'm bringing to this, either I hate my body or I hate my voice or whatever, how in the world is your body going to do what you want it to do when you're coming at it from a place of self-hatred already? So even if we're joking, and I say that in air quotes for anyone listening, yeah, it's not, we got to be really gentle with ourselves. We're going through a lot. So the very first thing I try to establish is, if anything, neutral self-talk. Doesn't have to be positive. I've loved for it to be, but just being really gentle with ourselves.
I was reading a chapter in a book just recently that was all about language, and how, not like language like cursing, language like how we speak becomes like the words we use become our experience. And so if we're saying like, I'm furious, I'm pissed off, that is going to heighten your energy, versus if you say, I'm peeved, you can have the same like external experience, but your internal experience is going to be completely different based off your language. So like, I know a lot of people use like self-deprecating humor and stuff like that, but it's like when you use that, your brain will start searching for more ways that you're a quote unquote fucking idiot, or whatever you just said, self-deprecatingly. And again, I'm putting that in air quotes, but it's just, your brain is going to search for that experience, and it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I struggle with it in my own singing. I think like as singers, a lot of us have traumatizing like things that voice teachers have said, or things that we believe about ourselves.
You're on the right podcast.
Yes. Everybody take a sip to that. But yeah, when I practice, even sometimes if I sing a phrase, not great, I'm like, I'm such a bad singer. And I'm like, girl, what are you doing to yourself? I'm a great singer. That was just, I'm going to navigate through what just happened tension-wise there.
Oh my God, you're speaking so much truth right now. It's so good. Oh my gosh. Before we dive into the full Meisner music, because I think we're going to talk about that for forever, I want to look at really quickly, because you're really, and I'm using heightened drama language, so correct me if I'm wrong, against the detox or like the cleanse culture. Yes. Talk that out. Why? Because I know that's a huge part of, I'm a huge part of weight loss or fitness even.
Okay, so I feel like in both Meisner music and fitness, I feel like you have to incorporate what you're doing in any self-betterment field into what you're going to want for your entire life philosophy. It can't just be, I'm really rigid with myself with health and fitness, but I'm gentle and kind to myself in my life philosophy. It has to match up. So you, with health and fitness, have to do what you're willing to do for the rest of your life. Keto works, right? What's that one that's 90 days? Whole 30. Whole 30.
That's actually one of my go-to ones pretty often, but that's because it works for my body.
It works. But you have to ask yourself, what am I going to do after those things end? So a juice cleanse is very cute, but then like, what are you going to do after the 7 days? Are you willing to keep that up in order to keep the fat off or the energy going or whatever you gained from that? So I just encourage, even if you want to do a cleanse, a gentle weaning off of that so that you're able, to keep your results for a long time. Generally, I see the clients that I've had who love cleanses, not willing to do the actual work and the day-to-day decision-making that goes with building healthy habits, but they want a quick fix. And with anything in life, I'm not a fan of that.
I couldn't agree more. And I've talked to numerous people who, because I've mentioned on the podcast that I've done Whole 30 on and off for about like 4 years, I think. And people have said like, oh, well, like, what do you like, like those don't work, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, no, I actually eat paleo pretty much the rest of the time. And when I say paleo, it's just kind of a blanket term for like no process, no sugar. I'm really careful about what I put into my body, like with whole foods. But it's more of just like it's a redirect sort of it's a one of those. So it's for the sustainability, not for like that quick fix. I love that you say it like that, because if you're just looking for a quick fix, isn't it like people normally gain weight after they go on a cleanse? Am I getting that science right?
You're absolutely right. Our metabolisms love consistency. So, even if you are consistent with, a juice cleanse or keto, those are the only ones that are coming to mind right now. Then your metabolism will be like, oh, this is what we're doing for her body now. And then once you get off of it, it's going to go into, survival mode or starvation mode, and we get energy from fat. So if we're then not getting the food nutrients that we need, our bodies are going to store fat for that energy. If we're eating inconsistently, our bodies are going to store fat because they're like, I don't know when this girl's going to eat again, so I better store some of this because I'm really confused. So basically, we just want to moderate our metabolisms in a way that is sustainable.
You just taught me something new today. That was really good. So let's say for someone who's like not looking for the cleanse or the quick fix, what would you say is one small thing that they can add into their life right now if they're looking to get a little bit healthier?
Oh yeah. Picking foods that are as close to their natural form as possible. Mother Nature doesn't do us wrong too often. So if you can look at something and kind of guess how it was made and what the general ingredients are, then eat it. But if you look at something like a Frito and you're like, I have no idea how to picture how that was made, that's probably not great for your system.
Love that with the visual. That's so good. Oh my goodness. Okay, I want to dive into Meisner and music because you have just first, how did Meisner and music come about? Because this is such a genius idea and it's taken off like crazy. So how did you create this? What happened there?
Thank you. I was in a deep grief. I lived in Dallas and I had moved there because my boyfriend at the time, now late husband, was diagnosed with cancer. And so we needed to move. We were living in Chicago. I don't know if I ever told you that.
I don't think you did, no.
I love Chicago and I had just settled in and he was going to go to DePaul for voice. And so the first week of registration, he went to the doctor and they found that this sore that he had on his tongue was cancerous. So we moved to Dallas to be with his family. So he only had an 8-month battle with cancer. He passed away. And then about 4 months later, I was like, I need something to pour my energy into. And I knew a little bit about Meisner and what I knew I liked. So I started taking Meisner and I fell in love. It was incredibly therapeutic for me at that time. And it also really worked in my scenes and text work with acting. Mm-hmm. But when I would go back to singing, I would go right back to my old ways. And I'm like, okay, surely someone has put these two together because singers of all people need a mindless technique to get us into our bodies and in the moment, right?
Preach, girl, preach.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So when I got to New York, I was like Googling and I'm like, someone has probably done this before. And then realizing that no one had. So yeah. And then I created it and it began as a workshop with my buddies. I think I charged, just whatever the room and the accompanist were. And then slowly figured out myself. I mean, it was really born out of selfish ambitions because I was like, I want to know how to put this into singing, but it's helped so many people. I am just consistently in awe at this technique. And I really think it's a way of life as an acting technique. It just transcends acting and goes into all parts of our lives.
I have chills. I have tears. Oh my God. Here, let me ask this. For people who don't know what Meisner is, who have maybe not dove into acting, how would you describe Meisner?
Sanford Meisner is the creator of the Meisner technique, and he said that acting is the reality of doing. Mm-hmm. So there's no pretending. There's no going back to my memories. It's just that I am living fully and truthfully in the present moment.
Oh, what a beautiful, yes, for acting totally, but for freaking life. To be able to just breathe and connect to where we are right now, the conversations that we have, and just to be in the present moment. So many of us don't do that. And especially, you and I both have very similar backgrounds because we both went to the same school, but there was a lot of only think about technique, and don't live in the present. And what a gift you're bringing to people. Oh my God. So what have been some of the most magical moments that you've experienced through Meisner and music?
We had one a few weeks ago where a guy was singing, what's the da 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 from Hamilton?
Oh
You'll be
gosh.
back.
You'll be
You'll
back.
be
Yes.
back. Yes, he was singing You'll Be Back, and he was doing this Meisner exercise called activity. He was putting on clown makeup while he sang. And we stop and do this basic Meisner exercise called repetition in the middle of singing. And it's just to get you in your body talking about how you feel. So he said, I feel calm, or I feel quiet, or something like that. And I said, okay, sing. And then he goes right back to the way that Jonathan Groff does the song, which is like upbeat and loud. And I said, no, we need to put I feel calm into that. And so he did, and it was electrifying. I have goosebumps even talking about it. But that kind of stuff where it's like, what an electric thing we can bring to a piece if we just honor how we're feeling and not how we think the song should be done.
Ooh. I have so many thoughts. Oh my God. How interesting. Do you see that a lot? Do you see people emulate how like maybe the original cast recording has done it? And you say you use that technique quite a bit with like getting them more into their own skin? Am I getting that right?
Absolutely. I mean, when you sing something like The Wizard and I, we all have either our favorite alphabet in mind or Idea Menzel.
Yeah.
So I was like, what is her name? I was like, it's not Adele Dazeem. I can rule that one out. But yeah, I think a lot of times we as performers, I think training is essential, but often in training, especially undergrad and academia, we learn that who we are is not correct. And so then we're thinking, okay, well, I just need to emulate what I'm hearing or what the character should be feeling, air quotes again for those listening. But really, the composers are smart, and we have to trust that the music has written itself, and we don't have to nudge, nudge, wink, wink that we understand the song. We have to go in there singing it from a truthful place of where we are that day. And it's going to just electrify the song. I could watch like a textbook version of If I Loved You and not be moved. But if you come in that day and either you've just gone through a breakup and you're going to put that into the song, or you're having the best day of your life and you're about to go to your best friend's birthday party and you put that into the song, I've never seen it like that. If you're coming in with exactly how you are and what you bring to the character that day in that moment, there's no greater gift that you could give to honor the music. But I think often we think honoring the music means doing it the textbook right way. I got to stop with the air quotes because I'm like, this is a podcast.
It's okay.
But if we think I have to do this right to show them that I'm a good little musical theater student, that's not moving at all.
Oh my God, I want that on t-shirts and bumper stickers and just plastered everywhere. That is so good. And also like, because it sounds to me like a lot of Meisner music is even just mindset and getting out of that like cookie cutter performer. Okay, now I'm using air quotes performer.
I know.
Like it sounds like it's so much more of just like, just trust yourself.
It is so hard. It is so hard. And I ask my students, maybe you have to decide what kind of performer you want to be. I want to be an open-hearted performer who's coming in with my wounds open. But there are a lot of performers who I just want to work, and I'm not saying it has to be one or the other, but I just want to work for a Disney cruise. And I just want to play Anna over and over the cookie cutter way. Mm-hmm. That is also noble. But that's not what I'm training for. And my interest is more in incredibly truthful storytelling. So yeah, sometimes people come to me and they're not either ready to grasp the Meisner technique, or they're like, oh no, I don't want to go there. I just want to sing the song in a beautifully technical way. And I'm like, that's also cute. That's not my style. I don't like to watch that or be that, but that is great. And there is an audience of, I call them like yas critics, who will only care about your vocal riffs and technical abilities. I'm not interested in performing for them.
Oh, I love it. Because every performer listening to this podcast right now, it knows exactly what the yas people are. Like, we've all either experienced them or seen them third party. Oh my God, that's so funny. So what have been what's been a show or a song or even a performance that has moved you like exponentially? And I'm winging it with this question, but this feels important.
No. I have an answer. I'm thinking of Kelly O'Hara in Bridges of Madison County.
How did I know you were going to say that?
I know. Well, it's one of my favorites. And I saw it on Broadway, and my friend that I saw it with, we laughed because we were weeping. We were making noises that I've never heard my body make. I was like, crying so hard when what's that guy's name? Is it Stephen Pasquale?
Stephen Pasquale?
Yes.
Yeah, something like
Stephen
that.
Pasquale or whatever his name is comes on. He's like, ha, 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 ha. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like so many things because like they can't be together, but I also need them to be together.
I
know. Just masterful writing, singing, beautiful storytelling. I can't. Yeah. It moved me to the core.
Every single person I've heard who saw Kelly O'Hara's performance, I mean, just what a freaking gem. And obviously we have a big connection to her. We went to the same school. Did you ever see her talk when she came to OCU?
Yes.
Just what a light. Like she walks into the room and you feel her. Like, and it's not like Kelly's in the room. It's like you feel a sense of empathic calm. It's just like she gives everyone this sense of you can do it without even saying it. And it's just, I'm going to cry even just thinking about her. And what a gifted human. I'm so glad you were able to see that on Broadway because what a freaking gift.
Yeah. I haven't seen the movie. Have you?
I actually haven't. I've only listened to the soundtrack about 15 million times. So.
Oh my God. I don't know quite why she was topless in the musical. And I'm like, is that girl full nudity?
What?
I've seen her boobies. That. Yes. And I don't know why. It was just literally a scene of her getting out of the bathtub. And I'm like, okay, like I welcome that.
Was there...
like why? It did not move the plot along at all. It was just for the sake of seeing Kelly O'Hara topless. And she looked great.
I mean, we are living in a post Game of Thrones world. I feel like nudity and sex is like boom, 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 patted into everything. Yes. Was it during a song or was it just kind of like a loop, loop,
nope.
loop, loop, loop?
Nope. It was almost, I hesitate to say this because I don't know if I'm right, but I feel like it was like kind of during a scene change. Like it was really incidental. And I was like, oh, thank you.
Just being like, what should we do for the scene change? Let's make Kelly O'Hara.
Gotta see her tits. One way or another, I've got to see her boobies. And like every audience member is like, that's fine, I guess.
That's fine. I had no idea that was a part of the musical. Have I been living under a rock? This is unreal. Oh my gosh. Well, so what have been some of the most like impactful moments or resources even that have caused you to up level as either a performer or a businesswoman? Because you're such a freaking badass. Like, what have you done?
I think that it's just that old saying, if you build it, they will come. But with Meisner Music, it's been slow going. I mean, I'm heading into our 4th year, and it's been really interesting how it truly took 3 years for people to be like, oh, I believe you. This is a thing that has value. So it's been just so interesting. You know, you have to believe in whatever you're building, but I truly believe that like, if you offer the class and if you believe in it, people are going to come, or that, you know, applies to anything that you believe in, this beautiful podcast, your coaching business. But I have a lot of people in my life saying, can you be my accountability partner, my business coach to help me get this thing started? And it's like, you have all, you know, it's that the Wizard of Oz thing. Everything that you need is already within you. So I just knew that this thing was brilliant. And I often feel like I'm just the lucky vessel that said yes to this idea, right? Big magic kind of stuff. But building it, and I didn't make money on Meisner Music for several years. and then, you know, just renting the rooms myself and paying for the accompanist and making a little bit of that back from the students, but not much. But believing in it so much that I was like, I have to keep this train going. But yeah, last spring, so it's spring 2019, I was crying to my mom and I'm like, no one's registering. Like, what am I doing? And mom was like, give it one more season. And if no one signs up, you need to let this go. And I was like, you're absolutely right. Because it had been 2 years of not a lot of traction. And then that energy of like, this is over after this season if no one does it, just sent the universe like, oh, okay, we got you. So the last year was our first sold out year, which was such a blessing, and more exciting things coming up.
I have chills up and down my whole body. Oh my God, that's amazing. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And so how has it been? I mean, COVID sucks, obviously. You guys have been doing Zoom
Yeah, it's
workshops?
been like surprisingly simple to translate all of this work onto Zoom. We had a class that started March 3rd, and yeah, right. So we got 2 weeks in and then had to pause. So we're actually going to try. No, we're going to do it. In September, we're going to finish our 4 weeks together in person, socially distant, and everyone's going to wear masks. I mean, New York's numbers are doing great, but
yeah.
I was hesitant to do anything over the summer because I thought we're all unemployed right now. I don't want to pressure artists like pay me money. But I found that this summer was our most bountiful summer that we've had because artists need a place to work on their craft right now and to be with each other and have a little bit of structure. So we had 4 sections this summer and they were each blessings. Like every single soul that took class touched my life deeply. So I can't wait. It sucks that we're still dealing with the pandemic, but I'm really honored to continue to hold space for artists to do this work.
How freaking amazing. I can only imagine just like to have that outlet during a time when I kept on hearing from artists over and over again, like my creativity feels like a desert land. Like,
Yeah.
and it breaks my freaking heart. And so, you know, I'm just like, here's a resource. You were absolutely one of those like that I threw out like
Thank
this.
you.
Oh my God, I love your work and what you're doing. But like, it was just like do something, like, you know, have a community. Don't feel like you're alone here because you're so not. And so just what a freaking gift that you've given to people during this time.
Thank you.
I mean it from my bottom of my heart. Seriously. Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. So and I think you kind of answered this, but I want to ask it directly. For anyone who is looking to start I'm going to say passion project here, because I believe that is a good word to describe Meisner music. If anyone's looking to start a passion project, but that little belief in their head that no one will come keeps piping up, what would you say to them?
2 things. And one I already sort of harped on, which is just start. Even if it's like giving yourself, I think we need probably 2 hours a day to pour into our passion projects. I was going to say an hour, but I'm like, what do I get done in an hour? I would say try to give yourself 2 hours a day, even if it's post your regular job, to pour into that passion project. One thing about the quarantine that was really eye-opening to me was that with personal training, I thought, I don't have more time to give to Meisner music because I'm a personal trainer. That's the main source of my income. But then in quarantine, when I had all this time, I realized I just wasn't putting time into Meisner music or my artistry practicing. So I was like, shit, this is an eye-opener. So really look at your schedule and make sure that you're giving devoted time to that. And my loves, even if it's on the weekends, I'm sorry, but like, you must give time to your passion project.
We're recording this on the weekend, friends. This is outside of weekday.
Yes. And then the second thing that I did with both businesses is start, you got to offer some free stuff first, I think. Yeah. So with personal training, I think it was a 4-week winter warrior challenge where I was like, anyone who wants to be a client, I'm going to run this thing for the month of December for free. And I'm going to be your accountability partner and online coach. And then I think I got maybe like 3 clients from, 60 people that signed up for that. Very small. What is that called?
Percentage?
ROI? Yes. You know what I'm talking about.
Business.
But at least I had clients, and at least I had people being like, I trained with Jillian, and then it grew. And same thing with Meisner Music. The first class I offered for $75 for my friends. Oh yeah. For 4 weeks. But again, it just covered the room and the pianist. Yeah. And then from there it grew and grew. I will say that, and you know this too, Nicole, like value, I think people, it's so hard because you want to charge people what the service is worth, but you also want to be cognizant of what artists are going through right now. But I will say when Meisner Music was cheaper, I got less people interested and less people actually showing up. They would last minute cancel or be sick. And so now that it's a little more expensive, people are like, oh, I value this thing and I'm going to show up. And I don't, so offer it for as cheaply or free as you can in the beginning. And then as time goes on, know your worth and charge what it's worth.
One more time for the people in the back. Like I couldn't freaking agree more. When I first started coaching, I was doing free sessions out the wazoo, and it was great for getting my feet wet, for getting that, like to get over my nerves and stuff like that. But when I just not too long ago raised my prices, I got clients like boom, 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 boom. And I was like, okay, universe, I hear you. Like so many people are so afraid because they tie money with worth, but in actual, money's just energy. It is just an exchange of energy and it's value. And like, we just need to stop thinking that like, oh my gosh, if I charge too much and I don't live up to expectation, like it is just energy, and people forget that sometimes.
And I think it does something to you too. I mean, maybe this is a bad mindset to be in, but when my personal training sessions were like $30 an hour, I'd be like showing up looking like, I don't even know. And I did not really give a lot of energy to planning the sessions. And then when I became a more expensive trainer, I was like, ooh, I am snatched and like coming on time. So yeah, I think it does something to you too, as fucked up as that is.
No, I couldn't agree more. Because I feel like when I raised my prices as a coach, I valued my work so much more. And I knew, toss, I know how amazing it is. I've seen clients go through this amazing process. I started pouring way more into them just because why not? Like, this is just such a, like, I want to do as much as I possibly can.
And when you charge more, you have more energy. So when my Meisner music classes are actually paying the bills, I dedicate my energy to those 3 hours that I have with the students. But if they're not paying the bills and I'm scrambling to like get other shit done, in the 3 hours that I have with my Meisner music students, I'm like, okay, guys, let's just get this over with because I've got more that I need to do to pay rent.
Yes, literally, exactly. Like, oh God, I could word vomit everything at you right now, but yes, I couldn't agree more. Like you want to be present, especially when you're working. Cause I know like Meisner and Music, you work one-on-one with them, right? And then like they change, like when you're working one-on-one with someone, you don't want to have to be thinking about what's my to-do list at my day job tomorrow.
No.
Like, you want to really be right there with them. And don't get me wrong, you're going to need day jobs when you're starting a passion project. Like, I had 2 when I first started coaching, and it's exhausting and it's hard, but it was the payoff. It's a short-term price to pay. I'm putting that in air quotes because I don't know if I like that language, but to reap the rewards in abundance eventually.
Totally. Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. Sometimes with fitness right now, I'm a little bit 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I think Meisner Music's going to become my full-time income soon, like within the next, at least year, hopefully 6 months. But with that being said, sometimes when I'm doing online coaching with personal training, I'm a little bit like, man, this isn't what I ultimately want to be doing with my life. But then I remember this is paying for my passion project right now. So I need to honor this moment because I'm so grateful that I have a means to keep Meisner Music going until it fully supports me.
Whenever I have clients who really dislike their current job situation, I have them, whenever they're in that negative mindset, I have them put work aside for a second and write down a gratitude list of 3 things, but all devoted to their day job.
I love that.
So it just shifts your mindset. And for a while, like I had a client who would start writing them, and then we had our next call and she's like, this doesn't freaking work. I don't understand. I'm not doing this. And I'm like, are you in the present moment when you're writing it? She's like, no. And I'm like, will you just tell me a few things? And they were, and this is nothing against her. This is just how we're programmed to do gratitude lists at first, but they were really broad and general things. Like, I like this job. I like my chair, like stuff like that. And it's like, you have to get to the nitty gritty details, because until you get down to the, like, I love my, how I walk into the office one day and the receptionist says hello and says my name with sipping her coffee. Like, that is so specific, and that has a mental charge and an energetic charge to it versus the I like my chair, which is like,
I love this. I have this thing in my life where I'm like, that's so Meisner. But like, that is so Meisner. We talk in generalities all throughout our life. And like, generalities are for the outside world or non-creatives. But in our art and in this beautiful passion project work, you're so right. I've never thought of it that way, Nicole, that like being specific and precise has an energetic field. I've just been like, to my Meisner students, it'll help you if you're more specific, but you're so right that it does something different to me to be like, I love the receptionist sipping her coffee than like, I'm glad I pay the bills.
Exactly.
That's
and like,
awesome.
When I have people, and it's the broad term for this is transformational vocabulary.
Okay.
So using, basically the 5 senses, whenever people are having issues getting connected, ask them like, what are you feeling? Or what are you smelling? What are you tasting? So when I have clients, for instance, in visualizations, like maybe they're visualizing their life 5 years from now, I always ask them, what are you hearing? Because auditory actually shapes, like, it connects us to the present moment like that. And so I always ask them auditory first, and then like, what are you smelling? Like, are you in your kitchen? Did your partner just make you pancakes in the morning? You know, like getting into those like so specific little details, but that just like, it changes our biochemistry. Yes. And I could talk about neuroscience forever, but
same. Our
so
bodies always know. It's a cop out to be like, I don't know. Yes, you do. If you have a pulse, you know how you're feeling, or you know how to envision it. I love that you do that, Nicole. I do that with my Meisner music students all the time. Like, literally, what is your chest doing right now? It's tight, right? And then like, you know how you feel, you know what a tight chest means. Oh yeah. So let's get specific on that. And instead of just saying, I don't feel anything.
It's amazing how much, when we just change even the simple nature of like one piece of our physicality, our mindset changes like that. Like if we change our shoulders from being hunched and down, and maybe our breathing being up and shallow, we change that to up and back and just moving our breath down low, our brain literally starts to turn on, the blood starts flowing throughout our body. And this disconnect between, for people who aren't able to see, the disconnect between all the energy up in your head and all the energy in your body, it starts to flow together. And that's when your mind starts to get into the more positive, more energetic states.
Beautiful. I love that. I used to, before auditions, when I lived in Dallas, I would sit in my car. I remember having a car, and I would just smile. I would sit like this with my arms out, smiling so big. And I'm like, I am enough. I am so enough. And I would go in and maybe book it, maybe not, but like, yes to all of that.
Oh my, I love that you outstretch your arms, because that what you, for listeners who didn't see, that's what she just did. And just like take up space. Like, especially, not to make this a women man thing, but women are specifically, we're trained to be smaller. We're trained to kind of like keep everything in tight, and guys like, man spread all the time. But like for women, especially, to spread your arms out, and I call it the Patrick Star with my clients, to just like Patrick Star it out and just take up that space, shocks our biochemistry, because it's just like, I'm not used to this, and it changes like that. It's amazing.
Beautiful.
I could talk to you for hours.
Same.
For hours. Oh my goodness. But I do want to ask you a few quick segments that we ask everyone on the show. What is a small step towards a goal, or big or small, that you achieved this week?
This week, I let myself be. I had a big meeting today with 2 people that I'm hiring on to teach more Meisner music sections. I was so excited, but I also, in this planning section of my life, I'm really rigid with myself usually about schedule. And this week, with that big meeting, I was just like, you know what? Everything is going to get done this week that needs to get done. And it did. So that was a huge step for me to see that I don't have to pencil in every 15-minute task that I'm doing in the day, although that can help sometimes. But this week, I just didn't need it. I was doing enough, and it really helped with my mindset and clarity.
What was your scheduling then? Did you schedule at all, or did you just kind of like let things flow as the day went on?
Let things flow. Yeah. It's scary. Yeah. I
So
don't know that it's for
interesting.
me every week. But I think this week in particular, I had a lot going on. And then that huge meeting with those ladies, I was like, that you're doing enough, Jilly girl. Like you can just let yourself be on the penciling in.
Wow. That is like,
Yeah.
and people who listen to this podcast, it's all for achievers, which happen to be pretty type A. They sometimes go hand in hand.
Yeah.
I just, oh, I might try that. I might try that sometime just to see, especially because it sounds
Yeah.
like on weeks where getting into the 15-minute chunks could get almost like overwhelming and more
Yeah.
stressful. How interesting.
I read somewhere too recently that scheduling ourselves can be a little bit overwhelming for our brains, but when we make lists, which I also love, and I'm sure your type A listeners
Oh,
love as
girl.
well, lists can be a little bit more like, oh my God, look how much I actually did get done in this 3-hour chunk. And now I can add more to my list. Whereas most weeks I will pencil in every single thing. And it's almost sometimes, Nicole, like I get less done because then if the task gets done, I'm like, ooh, I have a half an hour. And instead of getting more done, I'm like, I'm ahead of schedule, which is also a beautiful thing.
Mm.
So it's balance, as all
Balance.
things are.
Oh God. Preach, girl. Oh my goodness. And then last but not least, what is one thing or how did you get in your own way this week?
Hmm. I got in my own way this week. I let someone, I mean, you as a woman in New York City know how the street harassment can be. And I endured a lot of it this week. I had to go to the Diamond District, which is just the shadiest. Have you been? It's
I
like
haven't.
47th Street between 5th and 6th, which sounds like a nice area, but it's that one street, that one block is so shady. So endured a lot of harassment. And then the next day had a little bit of harassment and I let that get to me instead of just letting it roll off my back. So yeah, I looked at that today in therapy and was like, I could do better on that next time, but it's okay. We stumble.
We do indeed. And oh man, it's one of those where it's like, I want to change the world so this
I
doesn't
know.
happen. But it's also like, I love that you say roll off your back. Cause
Yeah,
if you let that embed itself in your own mindset, it's not going to hurt them. It's only going to hurt us. Like,
exactly.
oh my goodness. Jillian, thank you so freaking much. Like you are just such a light. And I said this at the beginning. I'm going to say it again. Y'all go follow Meisner in music right now. Like it is just one of
Thank
the most,
you.
I think following inspiring accounts, especially in the world we're living in right now, is vital. And yours is one of the ones that I always consider just like so inspiring. I love reading the stories. I love listening to the songs that people sing. And it's so beautiful. So where can people find you?
Yes, Meisner in Music. The Jillian Paige is my sort of bigger account that's more just about my life and a little bit about fitness. And that's Paige with an I. But yeah, Meisner in Music is gearing up for a membership, an online membership in November. I'm so excited.
I was wondering, you were dropping all these hints about like
Yes.
November, and I was like, is she going to tell us? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
How exciting.
I'm so excited. I think it's going to be great to just have an online community. We're going to have Fridays where we have a safe place to sing where you can just come and sing with no judgments or feedback unless you want. We're also going to have a Friday happy hour where we just talk with other artists about like what's going on in our lives. And then there's weekly class that's going to be capped at 10 students. And I love that it's going to be less intensive than a full 2 or 3 hour class that you have to go to every week.
Yeah.
It's just like a membership to an impulse gym where like it's there if you need it and it's super affordable. So I'm just so excited.
You amaze me. Oh my, what a brilliant idea. And
Thank you.
Oh my God. So y'all, if you are a performer in New York, do it. Like I'm going to endorse it right now. Do it. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Thanks.
That is amazing. Jillian, thank you so freaking much for being here. This was such a
Thank you for
treat.
having me. You're amazing, girlfriend. We're all stars, but you're especially a bright star.
Stop it. Thank you so much.